Alhamdulillah. Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum. Anse Farhana. Welcome to our behind the scenes chat where we're going to just learn a bit more about you and learn about your experiences as both a Dragonflies and a Rabateens teacher. Now, for those of you who are joining, Anse Farhana, mashallah, is a graduate of the Rabat Academic Institute. She is a beloved youth instructor and a very popular speaker at Rabata, mashallah. I know that whenever, you're speaking at Rabata, we're all sharing quotes on our WhatsApp groups behind the scenes going, "Ah, and she said this, and said this." So alhamdulillah for having beautiful women who are giving us these wonderful spiritual reminders on a regular basis, mashallah. And in your, dedicated life, you have, mashallah, five children to take care of, and also your practice in your field of optometry, mashallah. So you're a practicing optometrist. You've got a bunch of kids you're taking care of, your whole family, a network of your community, mashallah, as the Rabata Orlando chapter lead. And you have time to teach, mashallah, the youth programs at the youth programs, alhamdulillah. So tell us about how you got roped up into teaching. I always, I'm curious about that beginning that everyone has.
Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, such a blessing. Wa alaikum assalam. So, how I got roped into teaching, I think it's just you don't realize it's going to happen. I was doing the teaching certification, finished the course, and then Anse Iman, she was just like, well, now you have to use your degree. I mean, if you don't use it, you lose it. So let's get you started. And she asked if I would be interested in teaching the Roboteens and the Dragonflies program, which is interesting because I requested them to start the Dragonflies program. I was
Okay, I
like,
did
I
not
have
know that. Wow.
yeah, I was one of the parents. Yes, I was one of the parents. I was like, oh man, okay, I guess I have to. But yeah, I have all these boys and they were little, and I'm like, we need to have a youth program and we should include the boys too for the youth program. It would be amazing. And so she's like, that's a great idea. Why don't we start there? Would you love to teach it? And I'm like, oh wow, okay. Subhanallah. So it's just an honor, a pleasure. I absolutely love it. And my boys love the program too. They went through the program as little kids and they absolutely loved it. And it's very different from teaching adults. And I have the 11 and 12-year-old boys. That's the class I've taught. And it's amazing. It's beautiful to watch them in the beginning of the program and then going through each semester and how they learn and grow and they engage in the learning and they love it. The last class, they're like, "Oh no, is it ending already?" It's just adorable. I love it. Alhamdulillah.
Oh, mashallah. So, I mean, you have this, beautiful experience in teaching both boys and girls. And so with boys, 'cause I have four boys. And so I know there's just, the ways that you engage and the what you're instilling in them as young believers. Like, how have you felt about that when teaching Dragonflies boys?
Yeah, so subhanallah, just having the 11 and 12-year-old boys, these are boys going into young manhood. So I felt, first of all, I felt a huge responsibility. But what I did is I kind of impart that responsibility onto them and they love it. I'm like, I start the class off. I tell them how important they are and that they're purposefully created, that Allah has them on a mission and they're going to be given all the tools to be able to fulfill that mission. And that how they are going into manhood now. They're going, and they like that. They start sitting up taller and their shoulders, and they're like, I'm like, yeah, guys, you are going to be young men soon, and your family is relying on you. Your parents, your siblings, you probably have little siblings. Everybody's looking to you to help take on some of that responsibility of the family. And as you grow, you're going to get more and more responsibility. They love it because someone's treating them as they want to be treated as young adults.
Wow.
And so we do a lot of character building. So and my husband, may Allah bless him, he gave me this idea. I'm like, I have boys. I mean, I have my own boys, and I mean, I know I'm raising them, but to be a teacher of a classroom of boys, I've got to get in their heads and get them interested. And he's like, well, all boys are gaming. That's what they do now. They're all gaming. So I thought about it and I made dua about it. I'm like, you know what? Life is a video game. It absolutely is a video game. And so that's what I tell them. I said, guys, life is a video game. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put us here. And you got to get through these levels, and you're going to get these, you know how you're playing a video game and you have to get to the end of the level and you gain keys as you go on, right? Keys or treasures or extra bonus points. You got to collect these, and those are virtues, virtue keys. So honesty, generosity, patience, these are your keys. And when you get through the levels and you move up in the levels, and then at the end, obviously, you take these keys, and these are the keys that open the doors to Jannah. And you're racking up points at the same time. So your ticker tape, you know this, we call it ticker tape, but it's like a scoreboard. So when you do a good deed, like mom says, take out the trash, and you actually take out the trash, you get points. So then what we do in class is we talk about that scoreboard moving when you're doing good deeds. And I'm like, guys, you know, when you're playing a video game, imagine your scoreboard just going constantly and never stopping. Well, those things are sadaqah, or things that you can do that continue. So then I teach them to be Allah conscious throughout their day. So when they're doing their homework, do it for Allah's sake. Now your scoreboard's going. So you have a scoreboard that's continual, that doesn't quit. So they love the whole video game concept. And then we have heroes in this video game that gives it, we have the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is hints on how to live to get more, maximize your points. Then we have heroes that come in that tell us how to develop those characters. So I talk about the Sahaba, and there are heroes of the day. So we pick a hero. They love the Sahaba stories, and of course they love the battles. So be like, okay, this person converted and came to Islam at the Medina period, and then they'll be like, did they get in the battles? Did they do the battle? They love it. So I'll be like, oh yes, he was a person of Badr. So we talk about what that means, and a person of Uhud. And then if they miss one, they're like, oh, he missed it. He couldn't make it. I'm like, nope. So they really engage in this storytelling. They love that. Storytelling is huge. Applying what they're learning to their life. So I have them do projects. Um, they have to come up with a project that relates to the virtue that they learn. So if they learn the virtue of generosity, and one of our heroes exemplified generosity, and we learn about him, then we take and I say, okay, guys, you have to create a project you're going to take to your community to show what generosity looks like. And these boys are amazing. Phenomenal projects they come up with, recycling projects, energy projects, a waqf for the masjid. I'm like, wow, we need to present this to your boards. So it's beautiful just to see their heads and see how they're engaged in it. And then, of course, we always play Jeopardy or a quizzes or a Kahoot at the
Great.
end.
I
Yeah.
absolutely love that. And I mean, we love stories. We're adults. And when, we're having these pictures painted to us in a beautiful way in our Rabata classes, like it touches our hearts, subhanAllah. So I love that you're engaging their, minds, and then their hearts are getting connected, subhanAllah, and having some role models from the past too, because we learn about the companions, radiallahu anhum, so many accepted Islam when they were young. And
Hmm.
looking at our young boys, like that love and that cultivation and connection to faith, it's so beautiful, subhanAllah.
Hmm.
MashaAllah. I love that.
Alhamdulillah.
When you said, I kind of start, picking up their shoulders and like feeling good about themselves. I think
Yes.
as, oftentimes as parents, we're like, oh, they're kids, and you treat even the young men like they're still kids in the parents' eyes, but having a teacher that's saying, wait, you have responsibility here.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, exactly. And they love
MashaAllah.
it. They love it, and they're ready. They're ready to take it on. The Rabatines, the
Alhamdulillah.
girls are
What?
amazing too. They're so different. They're so different teaching. So I think
Wow. Okay.
that
Tell us about that.
I think that was the challenging part, switching back and forth. But then I also have a teen girl. So the Rabatines I just love. I love being that cool aunt, but that's someone who imparts, advice and knowledge. So if I'm teaching, a fun class, a cooking class, Sunnah foods or something, I'll incorporate life lessons in there and the actual curriculum while I'm doing the cooking, so it's fun. Um, so
Wait,
and
give
then
us some
just
examples.
of the cooking lessons when we're
I mean,
cooking. Yeah, so
I
it's
need an
from
adult class with life lessons with cooking. What have the Rebbe teens learned about that?
Subhanallah. So for yoga class, um, I would tell them like during yoga moves, because everybody says yoga is it's a Hinduistic principle, but obviously we're just exercising, we're just working out. But what I'll teach them while they're doing moves, as this is challenging, you know, we don't rely on our strength. We always rely on Allah's strength because our ability will fail. Our muscles will give out. Even our spiritual muscles will, unless we have Allah giving us that strength and refeeding us physically and spiritually. So rely on His power and His might, not your own. And so you'll see them push through whatever the move is, whatever we're focusing on, they push through. And then we talk a lot about dhikr and when breathing, doing dhikr throughout the day. And it's just spiritual energy that you're refeeding yourself. So it's applicable to life. If even after they finish the course, they can take it with them.
SubhanAllah. And you've done multiple tafsir classes. So Rebbe teens classes are set up very unique. Each mini semester, you have a series of teachers that are teaching on different topics. And so you've done I know you've done a Du'a class. You're very popular with like the tafsir classes every semester when I'm refreshing the Rabateen's page. What do you think has been like a surah or a particular portion of the Quran that you've covered that has resonated with the teens? I'm sure
I
everything
think
resonates, but is there anything that sticks out to you in particular?
Yeah, subhanallah. I think Surat al-Kahf was very powerful for the girls because a lot of them were reading it every Friday. They were making it a habit, but they weren't really reading the translation or the tafsir. Or if they've read the translation or the stories of Surat al-Kahf, they were just stories. But I think what was so powerful for them was taking it and really implementing it in their life because that's what Surat al-Kahf is. Everything you're going to go through. So a lot of the times when you're young like that as a teen, you think, oh, my biggest problem is the exam I've got, final exams. Like that's their whole world. So taking those Surat Kaf lessons and having them apply it now, but also see that this is what you're going to go through throughout your life, right? You have something, Allah blessed you with a garden, with something, beautiful, with your family, with your siblings, with an ability to get up and go to school, then say, Alhamdulillah. When you're about to do something, say, Inshallah. Like it was so beautiful to see their faces in the lessons, and they're like, what? That's what happened? Oh my goodness. And then, of course, the story of Musa alayhi salam, of Khidr. They were just like, oh my goodness, why did Khidr do that? I'm like, see, even Musa couldn't, he couldn't hold it. He's like, what? So a lot of the times Allah will do things in our lives and we're just like, what was that for? Why did I have to go through that? And then in Allah's wisdom, He's doing it for your benefit. And one of the girls, she was so beautiful. She said that her dad got a new job in a new city. She had to move, leave her friends, and it was devastating. But when she went to the new school, she made even more friends, and they're closer to her, and it was just a better turnout. And I'm like, yeah, that's how Allah works. We don't want to move forward or move higher or a better level, but Allah has to urge us to do that. So I think Surah Al-Kahf was pretty
SubhanAllah.
powerful for them.
MashaAllah, that's so wonderful. And then, I mean, speaking about moving in places you live, like you grew up in a really small town and didn't necessarily have that community, right? That circle of Muslim friends. And for a lot of the Dragonflies and Roboteen students, I hear about, oh, I don't have any Muslims, or I'm the only Muslim in my class or my school. And so in reflection, how do you feel about having that? Because it's online. Like, how do you find this online experience for the students in learning and connecting with each other?
Yeah, subhanallah. It's a huge blessing, huge blessing. Yeah, growing up in a community, I was is a Southern Baptist, all white community. uh, like one other Muslim family. So not really much access to a Muslim community. It was beautiful because that's what Allah had designed for my life, and it kind of shaped who I am. So I'll throw in some of the my Southern slang comes out, twang is what we call it, but comes out every now and then, and all those principles. I tell the kids, like we had public school, we had a preacher come once a week and do the like a lesson, a sermon for us. And I would just go to the library or go somewhere else, But subhanAllah, what's so beautiful about this online learning is the accessibility. You are in a classroom, they're real people, you're engaging and interacting. So it's such a blessing. And children now, especially the children, teens, and the young guys, this is how they learn. They're used to it, they're comfortable with it, and they can absorb and they can learn. Obviously, nothing replaces in person interaction, but this is just, it's a beautiful gift. Beautiful gift. It's wonderful.
I absolutely
Alhamdulillah.
agree. I think that even with the youth that have larger Muslim communities, they have a selection of places that they can go that I find they'll still be able to connect with their classmates in these Zoom sessions that we have because they're still like, oh, I have a Muslim friend who did this, and they're seeking advice. Like they're, kind of surveying around for like, oh, this is my experience. Even if they're in a Muslim majority space, subhanAllah, are coming in from a country that is Muslim majority, there's still that benefit of connecting with each other, mashallah.
Alhamdulillah. It is.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Anse for Hannah. And I know you're in the middle of your workday right now, so I know you've got patients and people lined up to see you. So we appreciate you, Alhamdulillah, so
Uh,
much. And I encourage everyone who's
Alhamdulillah.
watching, who's appreciating the work that's going on at Rabata, to donate this end of year, donate generously, inshallah, and may, all of the sadaqah that you give towards Rawata's youth program weigh heavily on your scale of deeds and rack up those points, like Anse Farhana mentioned, in that continuous way. Just imagine this ongoing series of clicks of reward points, inshallah, on our scales. Ameen. Allahumma
Ameen.
salli ala Sayyidina
Ameen.
Muhammad. Thank you, Anse Farhana, and we'll see you at Rawata and Albo, different places, inshallah, very soon. Take
Inshallah.
care. Assalamu
Jazakallah
alaikum.
khair. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.